What is going on, everybody in the YouTube stratosphere? It is me, it's your boy, it's your homie, TALK-IS-PITT, and I am here. You got wide receiver Pitt who left a comment earlier. He said, hit that like button. Yeah, everybody, make sure you guys smash that like button. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live stream. This is the Pitt Panther versus North Carolina preview and prediction. Now, I did a preview or prediction for Cincinnati and West Virginia, but I did not do prediction for Kent State or Youngstown State. I did not feel that there was really a need to do such a thing. Oh, stretching. Oh, I need to see a chiropractor. All right. I'm gonna invite the guest. All right. What's up, CJ? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Whew. Gonna give it a couple more minutes to get started, everybody. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you have not already. Comment and subscribe at any point in time during this live stream or after this live stream, after it uploads. Much love to everybody who is coming in. I'm going to give it about 2 or 3 more minutes before I go ahead and get started. Now, I did invite the Tar Heel Huddle. I don't know if he's going to show up. I don't know. I don't know how he does it. Hopefully, he does show up because it would be cool to have a North Carolina Tar Heel fan on here. But if we don't, then it'll just be a solo mission. Whew. Got some interesting, well, I wouldn't want to say interesting. We got some games coming up for the ACC this week before I go ahead and get started. Well, I would love to because I do think North Carolina is setting themselves up for failure. I think they think that they are going to use the Pittsburgh Panthers as a, how should I say this, as a uh, comeback win for the season to show people that they're not as bad as they think they are. Well, the thing is, North Carolina, you are as bad as everyone thinks you are. But Syracuse goes on the road to play the UNLV Rebels. We got Duke at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a 9.5-point favorite. I do think that's a little high, to be honest, CJ, because the thing is, Duke can run the ball. You guys can't stop the run for anything. So maybe you guys make up for it with turnovers in the passing game, or you got to figure out a way to slow down Duke on the ground. But I think 9.5 points is too high. What I think is too low is Clemson at Florida State. Clemson is only 14.5-point favorite with the over-under at 47. I think it's going to go over that. And I think Clemson may actually end up scoring 47 points. Not really looking forward to playing Clemson this year, even though it's in Pittsburgh. Yeah, like I said, not too many interesting games. Although Miami is only a 10-point favorite versus California, even though Miami has to travel to California, and that's a long flight. I'm pretty sure it's direct, given the fact that I'm pretty sure the school provides transportation and to make sure they get a direct flight. The over/under is 54.5. I'm taking the over. I do think Miami's going to win that game, but I also have a feeling that California is a trap game for Miami. Because look, Virginia Tech almost beat Miami last year. I mean, not last year, last week. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead here and get started with this preview and prediction. The Pittsburgh Panthers travel to Chapel Hill, in which they are already there. But the Pittsburgh Panthers travel the 1 hour and 20-minute plane ride to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, this game, I have to admit, scares me just a little bit because Pitt has never beaten North Carolina down in Chapel Hill in football. Basketball, we've had a ton of success. Men's soccer, ton of success. Women's volleyball, a ton of success. Beating them down in Chapel Hill on every single sport, but football. That is the one thing that curses the University of Pittsburgh, and that is the fact that we have never been able to beat the North Carolina Tar Heels down on their own field in Chapel Hill. And this year, I think that will change. I honestly believe that will change. But before I get into the prediction part of this video, let's start off with the preview of this video. Now, North Carolina comes in with a 3-2 record, 0-1 in the ACC. Pitt comes into this game with an undefeated 4-0 record, and this will be the first conference game for the Pittsburgh Panthers. The last 5 games that North Carolina has played, because they have played 5 games so far, they won against Charlotte 38-20, which that should have been an even bigger win. But that game right there showed me the struggles of how should I say this? That right there showed me the struggles that North Carolina was going to have. Now, I didn't think they would struggle this bad, but North Carolina, you gotta realize that North Carolina lost a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Okay, now I'm looking up something here real quick because apparently I forgot to write down something. Honestly, CJ, I don't understand that either. I don't understand how they gave up 70 points to James Madison. But also, don't forget, CJ, they did score 50 on them, too. All right, there we go. Somehow did not write that down. So, West, or not West Virginia. See, oh man, our rival, West Virginia. So, North Carolina started off the season August 29th with an away game at Minnesota. And North Carolina was able to pull that win out of their ass, literally 19-17. Minnesota's not that good, but that honestly is the game that really showed. I don't think North Carolina is going to contend anywhere near for an ACC championship, and they're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility for the whole entire season. Oh, excuse me. They then go back home to play the Charlotte 49ers, in which they did win that game by 18 points, 38-20. Then they had another home game against North Carolina Central, in which they dominated that win 45-10. And then here is shocker number one. James Madison dropping 70 points on the Tar Heels, beating them 70-50. Now, a lot of people are talking about the 70 points, but guys, let's be honest. We need to acknowledge the fact that North Carolina was able to drop 50 points on James Madison. Now, James Madison has a Jekyll and Hyde type of defense. Honestly, they got a bit of both that day. North Carolina faced both Jekyll and Hyde as far as James Madison's defense goes. And I did watch that game. I did. I actually watched that game. And then here is the even bigger shocker. The following week, North Carolina traveled 30 minutes from Chapel Hill to Durham, North Carolina, to play the Duke Blue Devils. And this game was something that should have been. Okay, this game was something that North Carolina should have handled easily. And I'm not saying they're going to beat them by 21 points or anything like that. But what I mean is they were handling Duke 20-0 going into the second half, right? And even in the second half, they were still able to move the ball against Duke, but they just collapsed out of nowhere and allowed Duke to come back. What Duke was able to figure out is how to run the ball against North Carolina's defense, because North Carolina does not have a good run defense. They also are not that great in getting to the quarterback. Now, Duke does have a weakness on the offensive line at the tackle spot, which is how Malik Murphy was getting sacked. He was getting sacked off the tackles. So, with that being said, Duke was able to figure out how to protect him on the offensive side of the ball, and they were also able to figure out how to run the ball against North Carolina and their defense. Because North Carolina, like I said, does not have a good run defense, and their pass defense isn't really all that much better either. Duke came back to win this game 21-20. Like I said, North Carolina was up in this game 20-0 going into the third quarter and blew it. And now people are saying, well, they could be using that as motivation to beat Pitt. They could well. They very well could be using that for motivation. And I'm not going to sit there and lie and say, that this game doesn't scare me, because look, the truth is we have not fared well down in Chapel Hill. And that does scare me. John Christophic says Rodney Hammond should start tomorrow. Much love, John Christophic. Thank you for stopping by on this live stream. What I would honestly do is have both Rodney and Desmond Reed in the backfield. Have all the receivers up on the line so they can't call false start or illegal formation, too many players in the backfield, because that's what would happen. Oh, yeah, CJ, I do remember. You guys have actually beaten North Carolina like 4 straight times, if I'm not mistaken. This is the at the end of this live stream, I'll talk about that actually. John Christophic says Pitt will win by 3 points. Honestly, I hope it's by more than that. North Carolina, look, this is not the North Carolina team that I think is going to be able to hang around this time around. Now, there was a time where they were really bad in 2018, but we weren't that good either. Damn. Yeah, so Duke came back to beat North Carolina 21-20, and that honestly that should worry North Carolina, because Pitt already has two comeback victories for the season. So that should concern North Carolina and the Tar Heels. Pitt has played 4 games so far. Like I said earlier, they are a 4-0 undefeated record. First game of the year was a 55-24 Kent State or Pitt over Kent State victory. Then the following week they played Cincinnati, where they came back from 27 points down and won the game in the last quarter and a quarter. Literally, within the last 3 minutes of the third quarter, we were able to score a touchdown and then kept scoring in the fourth quarter. That's what we did. So we won that game 28-7. And then the backyard brawl, we were down 10 points with 3 minutes to go. And Pitt comes back and beats West Virginia 38-34. 38-34, everybody. And then throttles Youngstown State 73-17. Eli Holstein did not play that whole game, and Desmond Reed did not play that game at all. He was a little bit banged up, but I still think they would have kept him out anyway, even if he wasn't banged up. Daniel Carter had a good game last game around, subbing in for Desmond Reed. He had over 100 yards rushing. I think he had 5 total touchdowns in that game. 3 rushing and I think 2 receiving touchdowns. So that was pretty good for the Cardiac Panthers, CJ. That was pretty good for Daniel Carter getting his first collegiate start and goes over 100. The next thing I'm going to do on this preview prediction, I'm going to compare the quarterback situation for both Pitt and North Carolina. Talk about their completion percentage, the yards, yada yada yada, what they do well, what they don't do well. I'm going to talk about that. Also, before I continue, make sure you guys have liked this video or live stream already if you are watching it after it ends. If you have not already, click that notification bell to stay up to date for more Pitt and college football content. Also, make sure you check out the Cash App link down below. I forgot to get the damn link again. But I will do that later on, actually. Hold on 1 second. What I will end up doing is doing that now, because that's actually how I do my my donation system. I've never had anybody donate yet. Actually, no, that's a lie. Twice. I've had somebody do it twice. All right. All right. All right. There we go, everyone. All right. There we go, everyone. All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. We're going to start off with the quarterback comparison for both Pitt and North Carolina. Now, I am going to start with Eli Holstein. Eli Holstein on the year is 89 of 129 passing. That is a 67.5 completion percentage. He has 1,183 yards, 12 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. He also has 38 rushing attempts for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he has been sacked more times than what I would have liked him to be. He has been sacked 11 times. His last game, he went 16 of 24 for 249 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also had 9 carries for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was sacked once. So he did clean up these being sacked, because Youngstown State, they still were able to bring pressure once we started putting our twos in the third quarter. We put our whole entire backup offensive line. Eli stayed out there for a little bit, scored, and then Nick Yarnell came into the game. Wide receiver Pitt, welcome to the stream. He says we need to get pressure on North Carolina's quarterback. Yes, we do. We definitely do need to get pressure on the quarterback. Moving on over to North Carolina's quarterback. Speak of that, Jacoby Griswell, who was not the original starter, and I believe he was the fourth string guy. And then unfortunately, Max Johnson went down with a broken leg. Hopefully he is healing right. Hopefully his surgery went well. Everything's going well with his recovery. Because I do think he will be back next year for North Carolina. Pretty sure we play North Carolina next year as well, too. With that being said, I can't remember who came in after that, but then Griswell came in and has remained the starter. And during those starts, he is 64 of 111 passing. That is a 58% completion percentage. Not good. 889 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And I might have accidentally... Okay, let me see, because that may actually be the wrong stat. I'm going to make sure I confirm this before I say it, because I really don't want to say the wrong thing. All right. Go to game log. All right, it's right. Six touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Jacoby Griswell had. Do apologize for that. Here's what was baffling to me. I'm looking at his stats, and by the way, I get all my stats via ESPN, all of them. I was looking at his stats via ESPN. He has 19 carries on the year for 40 yards, no touchdowns. No touchdowns. He's been sacked 7 times so far this year. Last game, he went 21 of 39, which is a 53.8 completion percentage. 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked twice. Here comes a motorcycle. Peninsula P, welcome into the live stream. Peninsula P says Pitt should win by at least 7 touchdowns. Pitt should win by 7, or not 7 touchdowns, at least by 7 points. That'd be funny if they did win by 7 touchdowns. Whew. So, Jacoby Griswell is obviously not a mobile quarterback. And I think that should come in handy with our defense getting pressure on North Carolina. Because one of North Carolina's weaknesses on the offensive side of the ball isn't running back, which we'll get to the running back comparison here in a minute. It's not the running back spot. It's their offensive line. North Carolina for years, I want to say North Carolina for the past 4 or 5 seasons has had mediocre, if not bad, offensive line play. And I went back to the last four. If I want to go back, because I forgot to write it down, I want to go back to the last 4 meetings between North Carolina and Pitt on football side. And see how many times we were able to sack North Carolina's quarterback. All right. One, two. Okay, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Pitt does need to get off to a fast start. I agree with you, wide receiver Pitt. We do need to get off to a fast start and actually keep that fast start. Don't get complacent and don't play prevent defense. Do not play prevent defense. That's what cost West Virginia the game. Don't do that here, Pittsburgh. Don't do that. Damn, I can't type. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5, 10, 11, 12. Do-do-do-do. Okay, so I guess we didn't play them. I could have swore we played them in 2020. Two, 3, 4, 4.5, 5, 6. A great wide receiver, Pitt. Okay. So, in the past 5 or 4 meetings against North Carolina, in the past 4 meetings against North Carolina, we were able to sack their quarterback 14 times in the past 4 games. Okay. North Carolina's weakness, once again, in this game is their offensive line. Jacoby Griswold is not a mobile quarterback, or at least not enough. So Pitt should be able to get pressure on Jacoby and be able to stop Armarion Hampton, hopefully, because they did do it last year. which brings me to my next point. This is the running back comparison section for the live stream. Omarion Hampton, the running back, the starting running back, and really the entire offense for North Carolina, has 114 carries, 658 yards, 6 touchdowns, and averages 5.8 yards per carry. Last game, he had 29 carries for 103 yards, but no touchdowns. He did not score any touchdowns. He also has 4 catches on the year, if I'm not mistaken, hold on. Last game, he had 4 catches for 50 yards, no touchdowns. And on the year, he has 13 catches for 107 yards, no touchdowns, and he has not fumbled. So that is a good thing. He does not turn the ball over. We are going to need to get turnovers, whether it's via the run game or us taking the ball out of the air when Jacoby Griswold goes back to pass. So we're going to have to slow down Omarion Hampton, which we can do. The last game we held him to 66 yards rushing. Now, don't get me wrong, North Carolina whooped our behind in that game, but we are still able to make sure none of their running backs gained 100 yards on the ground. It took a plethora of running backs to do that, including Drake May. They don't have Drake May this year, everybody. Moving on, Pitt's running back Desmond Reed, 44 carries on the year, 319 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, averages 7.3 yards per carry. Now, he does have 13 catches for 167 yards, along with 3 touchdowns, and he does have a 100-yard receiving day. I believe that was against Cincinnati, and that's where he did his damage at the Cincinnati game, is through the air. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Desmond Reed and Eli Holstein, we would not have won that game at all. Because like I said, ladies and germs, earlier in the live stream, we were down 27-6 in that game. We come back and won the game 28 to we came back and won it 28-27. And to be honest, if Ben Sauls didn't miss that field goal, we wouldn't have to had scored at the last second. But come on, go away. But it is what it is, and we won that game, so let's not harp on that. Desmond Reed, I think, needs to get more touches going into the red zone. For whatever reason, once we get into the red zone, he doesn't really get that many carries. I would like to see that change. Now, the thing is, everybody knows the news out of Pitt. Rodney Hammond has been reinstated for the rest of the season. Instead of him being able to redshirt next year, which would have been actually good for us, but for him being able to redshirt next year or being able to come back this year, it helps us have that 1-2 punch that we pretty much needed this whole season. I think that's one of the missing pieces to our offense, is the fact that we don't have a 1-2 punch at the running back spot. And I think that would go very well with the Pittsburgh Panther offense, because Desmond Reed doesn't have to get all the carries anymore. Rodney Hammond is the back that is more in between the tackle type of guy, Desmond Reed is best on the outside. Rodney Hammond is best getting in between the tackles because he is difficult to actually tackle. So Rodney Hammond is coming back. I think that will lighten the load on Desmond Reed, and I think we can see good things out of that 1-2 punch right there. Moving on to the wide receiver comparison section of this live stream. I was about to say video again. I'm actually surprised nobody has came up on the panel. I tend to not get people unless it's the morning, and plus there is quite a few other people that is live right now. You know what, wide receiver pick? I was exactly thinking that, or have both Hammond and Desmond Reed in the backfield. Have Hammond pull out to block. Make sure the receivers are up on the line so there's not too many people in the backfield, and have Reed go out for a screen because North Carolina is good at throwing the screen. So I think we have to beat them at their own game because that's North Carolina's strength is the screen on offense. They do throw a good screen ball. So maybe that's what they do. They mimic what North Carolina may end up doing, but then again, that may end up coming to bite Pitt in the ass. Anyway, guys, so the wide receiver comparison section to this video, UNC, their leading wide receiver, get Reed matched up on the linebacker. Oh, for sure, wide receiver Pitt, for sure. Get Desmond Reed or any of our running backs matched up on the linebacker. J.J. Jones is the leading receiver so far this year for the North Carolina Tar Heels. He has 16 receptions, 264 yards, but only one touchdown. His last game is where he scored his solo touchdown against Duke in that loss. It was 5 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Pitt's leading receiver this year is Konate Mumfield, who on the year has 20 catches for 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last game didn't really get too many targets and didn't really need to. He had 4 catches for 60 yards, 0 touchdowns, because Pitt was able to still run the ball all over Youngstown State. So Konate Mumfield didn't have to really ball out. Although I would like to have seen him score. Later. I'm busy. God damn it. People know I'm fucking doing shit down here. Anywho, 20 for 315, 3 touchdowns. Didn't really have to do much last game, going 460, no touchdowns. So I do think Konate Mumfield will break 100 yards this game and get at least 2 touchdowns on the day. Hopefully he scores at least once. Maybe even gets a rushing touchdown on an end around. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, ladies and Gentile men. The defensive stat leaders for both teams, Donovan McMillan, although you could make an argument for a couple other people, but Donovan McMillan is the current stat leader for the Pittsburgh Panthers. He has 35 tackles on the season, 18 solo, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and 2 passes defended. His best game was against Cincinnati, where he had 10 solo tackles, 15 altogether. He had 1 pass breakup as well. You hope Bell will scheme Mumfield on their safety. Hey, hopefully he has figured out something, a wide receiver Pitt. Hopefully he has figured out something. So UNC's best defensive player, which also could be made an argument that other people could be uh, um, better than Jakeem Harris. He has 32 tackles on the year, 15 solo, no interceptions, no forced fumbles, 2 passes defended. Like I said, one of North Carolina's weaknesses on the defensive side of the ball is the ability to cover the pass. This is why I think Eli Holstein will have a field day, and I do believe Eli Holstein may pass again for 300 yards. I'm hoping for at least 275 yards passing and multiple touchdowns from Eli Holstein. That's what I'm hoping for, honestly. Uh, I do think that he will be able to have a good day throwing the ball against North Carolina. So before I get into my prediction, everybody, before I get into my prediction, once again, I'm going to go over the last games for both of these teams just to do a little bit more in-depth thingy-majig for this game prediction. Like I said, Duke came back in the fourth quarter to beat North Carolina 21-20 because North Carolina just for whatever reason could not stop the run. North Carolina, for whatever reason, could not stop the run. Now, I also realize that North Carolina is not running the same defense they used to. North Carolina is now running a 3-4 defense. And I do think that is a mistake. I do think that is not a good idea for North Carolina. Now, even if they switch to a 4-3 defense, I still think we're going to be able to run the ball all over North Carolina because they can't tackle for shit. I thought our tackling was actually bad, but it's gotten improved over the last 3 games. West Virginia, uh, West Virginia, Youngstown State. So actually, it got better over 2 games. West Virginia, Youngstown State. We didn't have too many missed tackles in that game. Wide receiver Pitt says he's looking for Cruz to have a big game. I hope Cruz gets an interception and returns it for a touchdown. That would be great. He's not an Aliquippa native. He's a Steel Valley native. I live right next to Munhall, so it's going to be great. But anyway, Pitt's last game against Youngstown State was a 73-17 beatdown. Pitt did exactly what they were supposed to do against Youngstown State. Eli Holstein didn't have to throw for 300 yards to look good in the game, but then again, it was against Youngstown State. So he was able to do what he was supposed to do, which is why I never really, bragged about the Youngstown State game because it's a game we were supposed to win. Now, I didn't think we were going to drop 73 on these dudes. I didn't. I honestly didn't think Youngstown State was going to score 17 points. I gave them 14 out of pity, but they were able to move the ball on us in the second half whenever we put our 2s and 3s in. They were able to start moving the ball, not really against the 2s because they didn't really start moving the ball until the end of the third quarter when we put our 3s in. So they were able to move the ball against our threes and got most of their points via garbage time. So nevertheless, we still crushed them 73-17. It was like 600 yards of total offense. Nate Yarnell looked good coming in when they took Eli Holstein out. Nate Yarnell did have a passing touchdown in that game. And with all that being said, ladies and germs, it is time. It is time. It is prediction time. In my stuffed up, nasally, allergy infested Vader voice. My prediction for the game tomorrow at noon, North Carolina versus Pittsburgh. I am picking Pitt to win 38-20. I just do not think North Carolina is going to be able to keep up long term with this game. And I do finally think that we are going to be able to break the curse of Chapel Hill. To break that curse known as Chapel Hill. Pitt has to do it this year. It can't. Look, we cannot lose this game. If we want to be ranked and taken seriously, everybody, we have to win this game. This is why I wasn't okay with people saying we should be ranked. No, we shouldn't be ranked right now. All right, we deserve not to be ranked. We cannot be ranked until we beat North Carolina, and we have to beat them by more than 3 points. Okay, I think the spread is low. The spread is -3 the last time I checked, but I also seen other places say it's 2.5. So we're going to go with 3. Pitt is favored by 3 points, and I think Pitt can win by more than that, and I think they will. I think Pitt will win 38-20. I just do not think that North Carolina is going to be able to keep up with this Pitt offense the whole game. I think their defense is going to get tired out, even with the return of Ruckus or whatever his name is. I do not think that they're going to be able to keep up. So with that being said, Pitt wins 38-20 over the North Carolina Tar Heels. Pitt wins 38-20. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here soon. Damn, a lot of motorcycles are out tonight. I guess people are riding their crotch rockets and their motorcycles because the weather's starting to get colder here, and they want to get a few more rides in before shit gets bad. So that's understandable. I live right next to a roadway, so I really can't complain about the noise, even though I do. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody who has stopped by during this live stream. We had wide receiver Pitt stop by. We had CJ. We had Peninsula P. And John Christophic all stop by on this live. I appreciate everybody who stopped by. Sorry that I didn't get the North Carolina guy on here, but that's all right. I will see you guys back here tomorrow for a post-game review and or rant, whatever the case may be. And hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's not a loss. But I will be back here to eat my crow if it is a loss. Because like I said before, I do have concerns about this game. That's all I have for today. Like, comment, and subscribe if you guys have not already. Click the notification bell to stay up to date for more Pitt and college football content. Also, check out the Cash App link down below. That's where you can send your donations to my channel. Let's go, Pitt. Let's go, Pitt. Let's go, Pitt. See you guys tomorrow.